Ladies and gentlemen, we are in the running for the SportPesa Premier League 2025-2026 season, and things are hotting up. Things are getting tasty and tasty by the day. If there is a storyline that has been waited upon for years upon years in the Kenya Premier League, it's the title race between league giants Gor Mahia and AFC Leopards, and what a season we are having. Both teams played equal number of matches. Actually, every single team in the SportPesa Premier League this season have played 27 matches, and so there are 7 matches to go. And within this run in. There are tasty matches remaining for the rest of the season, including the big Mashemeji Derby, which will be coming up in 10 days. 10 days as at the time of recording this, probably not as at the time of you watching this video. So for this particular one, we want to delve into the preview for the matchup between AFC Leopards and Police FC, which will be staged at the Nyayo National Stadium this coming Saturday, the 18th of April 2026. Yeah, and AFC Leopards sit second with 55 points. That's just 2 points adrift of league leaders Gor Mahia. And even when you look at it, they are going into this particular matchup off of the back of a win. Yeah, off of the back of a win against Morangasil, who are particularly on a decent run. If you ask me, they have the league's top scorer in King Joe Waithera, and they have like silky players like Kina Telvin, who are causing a bit of havoc for the side. So FC Leopards collected maximum points in that particular one, winning that match 2-0, 2-0. And so they enter into this particular matchup in some really good momentum, even though when you look at the form table between these two teams, you'd see that probably in the last 6 matches, AFC Leopards has been able to collect 5 wins, no draw, and 1 single loss. And you remember that loss was a heavy defeat to Mathare United. So in the process, they have amassed 11 goals. That translates to 1.83 goals per game. And for the record, for the number of matches played, 27 the whole season so far, they have managed to collect 16 wins, 7 draws, and 4 losses, which is similar to Gor Mahia, and it's the draws that keep them a bit lower in terms of points so far. When you look at the number of goals collected so far, it's 36, which translates to 16 wins, and that's 1.33 goals per game. And when you look at Police FC, they are coming into this particular matchup off of the back of a 0-0 draw against Mathare United at Kasarani, the main stadium. And for this particular team, in the last 6 matches, they have won 4, drawn 1, and lost 1. And in the process, they have scored 7 goals, which accounts to 1.17 goals per game, when you look at it in the grand scheme of things. So for the particular matches that have been played, FC Leopards won 2-0 against Morangasil. They beat Kariobangi Sharks 1-0, beat Tusker FC 1-0, and that ensured that they complete a double against Tusker Football Club. They won 1-0 against Nairobi United, also a double. They lost 4-1 to Mathare United. This is after beating them in a repeat fixture, which they won 2-0. And then they lost to KCB. No, they beat Shabana 5-1, and then they lost to KCB 1-0, and then they beat Posta Rangers 2-1, and that was when in December. I think that was closing the first half of the season. For Police FC, yes, 0-0 against Mathare United. They beat Tusker FC 1-0. They beat KCB 2-1. They beat they lost to Posta Rangers actually 2-0. They beat Bandari Football Club 2-0 in the repeat fixture. The first one was a bit controversial. They lost at the coast, but then they managed to stage a revenge against them. They drew 0-0 with APS Bomet, and then they drew 1-1 against Ulinzi Stars. So against the fellow security men, they have dished out points to all of them. Yeah, so what does this mean on the table if AFC Leopards wins, because they are playing fast on Saturday before Gor Mahia face off against Bandari Football Club on Sunday? If AFC Leopards wins, they go temporarily on top of the table. Yeah, it's been quite a while since they were there. And remember, there was a point in time when Gor Mahia were ahead of AFC Leopards with 10 clear points, 10 points. But then FC Leopards have managed to claw back those points to a decent 2 points. And if they win tomorrow, if they win on Saturday, then they will go 1 point clear of Gor Mahia, although Gor Mahia will have a game in hand. And that would mean pressure on Gor Mahia to win that game against Bandari Football Club ahead of the derby on the 26th of April 2026. So interesting times to be a Kenya Premier League fan, and especially whenever these two teams are chasing each other. I think in the glory days of the league, when these two teams were chasing each other, it was a point in time when people would say those were the good times in the Premier League. And we are beginning to experience this, so it will be a nice watch. For Police FC, they sit fourth, so this will be a difficult match for both teams. Yeah, so second against fourth. Police FC sit fourth with 44 points. Yeah, 44 points, and this is a chance for them to go a bit higher in the log to around third. They could surpass Kakamega Homeboys to third. Then that depends on the outcome between Kakamega Homeboys and Shabana Football Club as they face off. So if Homeboys drops points or maximum points at that, then because the goal difference is quite huge, so if they do drop points, if they lose that particular match, then Police FC would go third, and then we wait upon the results of these other particular matches. Yeah. So what are we looking at in this particular fixture? Maybe since Abud Omar has been deployed, especially in recent times as a central defender, is it going to affect how FC Leopards approach this particular matchup? Should they be wary of a guy like Kutiama at the front? Which kind of defense is FC Leopards going to set up with? I see Casey came back to training. Will this be a match that he's deployed as a starter, or will we still have Randy and Koulibaly in the central defensive areas as we look towards how maybe these two players will be like integrated? Not two players, like Casey would be integrated back into the team. Will we see a more reserved approach from Fred Ambani ahead of the derby? Because they also probably would be looking ahead. But before they look ahead, they really need to ensure that they have these points in the bag against Police FC. Katasi is also back in training. Will this be the game that he tries and comes back on and see probably how they fare? So it's a big task for Fred Ambani as he sets up his team to face off against Police FC, and it will be an interesting match. And of course, the ops would be watching to see if this guys drops any points, because they would be looking to pounce and create a gap, so that the results in that Mashemeji derby probably may or may not. They may probably not want it to count, but for neutrals, I think they would want both teams to enter into the derby when there's something at stake. Yeah, I don't know what your prediction is in that particular matchup. For me, I'm looking at a 1-0 AFC Leopards win, and that would set up things interestingly ahead of that derby. Yeah, so that's that. I hope you do like, share, and subscribe to all our content everywhere. Links are always in the description below. Until next time, bye bye.